Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane with his disciples. Moving deeper into the garden, he brought his inner circle of Peter, James, and John to keep vigil as he went to pray. Alone with his Father, he prayed, "Let this cup pass from me, yet not what I want, but what you want." His anguish was so great that his sweat was like drops of blood.
Returning to his disciples, he found them asleep. 2 more times Jesus prayed, asking God to let the cup pass from him. As he was speaking to his disciples, Jesus saw his apostle Judas approaching him with a large crowd.
Judas had agreed to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Greeting Jesus with a kiss was a sign for the crowd. When Peter responded by striking one of the soldiers and cutting off his ear, Jesus healed the soldier. Following the betrayal, Jesus was arrested.
The crowd took him to the high priest and later to Pilate, who sentenced Jesus to be flogged. Even though Pilate could not find a reason to condemn him, the crowd shouted for Jesus to be crucified.
Giving in to demands of the crowd, Pilate washed his hands and gave Jesus over to be crucified, and soldiers led him away.
To make fun of Jesus for claiming to be a king, they dressed him in a robe, placed a crown of thorns on his head, and put a staff in his right hand. They mocked him by saying, "Hail, King of the Jews," struck him on his head, and spit on him.
After that, they led him away to crucify him. A man named Simon was compelled to carry Jesus' cross, and they led him to Golgotha, which means the place of a skull. They offered Jesus wine mixed with myrrh to drink, but he did not take it.
Then the soldiers nailed Jesus to the cross and hung a sign above his head that read, "The King of the Jews." The chief priests and the scribes mocked him, saying, he saved others, he cannot save himself.
At noon, darkness spread across the land until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Jesus called out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Jesus gave a loud cry and took his last breath. Jesus said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and died. These soldiers came to check it to see if Jesus was dead, because they thought that he was. They did not break his legs. However, one of the soldiers stabbed at his side with a spear. One of the guards watching said, "Surely this man was the Son of God."
At night, Joseph, a rich man who was a follower of Jesus, came and asked Pilate for Jesus' body. Pilate gave him permission, so he took Jesus' body down from the cross. Another man, Nicodemus, came together, and they wrapped Jesus' body in linen cloths. They took him and placed him in a tomb in the garden.
Some of the Jewish leaders were worried that Jesus' disciples would take the body and say that he had risen from the dead. To make sure that didn't happen, a huge stone was rolled in front of the tomb, and Pilate gave orders to make sure that the tomb was secure. The Pilate put a seal on the stone to make the stone secure and posted a guard at the entrance. On Sunday morning, several women went to the tomb, and when they got there, they saw that the stone was rolled away. When they entered the tomb, they didn't find Jesus' body. The tomb was empty.